So today I'll take you on a section of one of the most iconic trails in North America, which is the Appalachian Trail. There's already quite a few cars here in the parking lot, and it's not even 8 a.m. So we're essentially back at Roan Mountain, but instead of hiking towards Roan, we'll take the other direction here, and we'll head up to what's called the Southern Appalachian Balls. There's a lot of Catawba rhododendron up here. I tried to get up here for the rhododendron bloom, but it was way too crowded. It gets busy. There's only a few flowers left on these. Most of them are done blooming. This area has a lot of endangered plants, so we'll stay on the trail. Now here we already have one of these endangered plants. This is Grace Lily, in perfect bloom now, so I'm excited. I timed it just right. Hello, Boomer. They call it the Balls because there are no trees up here. So you pretty much have a 360-degree view of the landscape. The grass up here is predominantly wavy hair grass. Now we've seen these white flowers on Roan Mountain before. That's the three-toothed cinquefoil. There's more of it here. So it has these characteristic leaves with 3 leaflets. Each leaflet has 3 teeth on top. Here we've got wild strawberries making fruits. So these are tiny, but they're very, very tasty. So here we are on Round Bald, the first of 3 balls I want to hike today. So if we take a look around here, if we look back the way we came, that's Roan Mountain back there. There's always a little bit of a debate why there are no trees up here. And one idea was that maybe the soil prevents trees from growing. So that grouping of trees there, I think, was planted as an experiment. You can see they're actually doing pretty well. So it's not the soil type. You can clearly see the evidence of lots of people having been up here. The grass is pretty much gone. This is not a trail. It's just one of those viewpoints that people like to go out to. The white blaze marks the trail. We'll be heading down here to the next bald, which is Jane Bald. And then our destination for today will be Grassy Ridge Bald in the background there. We still have a couple of flame azalea blooms here. There's a more yellow blooming one. And your more typical orange one. And here we've got a couple more of the Grace lilies. This one's still budding. So here's one of my pet peeves when I'm out photographing rare flowers. You can see how people have trampled a path to that flower over there and trampled all the way around it. Same thing with this one here. there's a path that has been trampled all the way to it. If you get a zoom lens, you don't have to do that. That can actually be very detrimental to the plant because it compacts the soil and potentially damages the roots and then causes the plant to die. Here we've got a couple more flame azaleas blooming back there. And this is not a trail. Again, just one of those paths that people trample as they're trying to get to like a good overlook. Here's one of the casualties of people trampling across it. This plant has been pretty much trampled to the ground. That looks like the Carolina tassel rue. There's more of the tassel rue in this area here. Plenty of these, actually. These have very interesting flowers. They're incomplete. They do not have petals. So what you see here is the stamens. Here's another one of these right next to the trail. The bluets are still blooming up here. Here we've got a nice specimen of that grace lily. Some evidence of the fungus, unfortunately, on there as well. Yeah, these lilies, unfortunately, are suffering from the same fungus that we've seen on the Turk's cap lilies on our phenology hikes. This one's close enough to the trail here for a close-up shot. Here we've got a ragwort in bloom, but this is not the golden ragwort. Its basal leaves look quite different, actually. More grace lily here among the hairgrass. Always nice to see a good number of flowers out here. Okay, view back at Roan Mountain and Round Bald. We're headed up to Jane Bald now. The trees along the trail here are actually some type of alder that has a very disjunct distribution. So they're quite unique up here. And then there's plenty of evidence here of the Park Service fighting to keep people on the trail. So they've put up fences and signs because people like to blaze their own trails, I guess. This is the iconic rock outcrop on Jane Bald, where everybody takes their pictures. So that rock formation kind of points at Roan Mountain back there. There's a lot of buzzing going around up here. We've got one of my favorite high elevation plants. This is mountain cranberry. They have the cutest flowers. Just look at these. And the bumblebees that are up here are just loving them. They're all over this shrub. So here we are on top of Jane Bald. And another beautiful example of the grace lilies here. Just right on the trail, essentially. Yeah, look at how close these lilies are to the trail. There's the trail. And just beside it, we've got the lilies. These lilies up here seem to be in perfect condition. I just love the wavy hairgrass here. I wish I could get that going in my yard. These here are still budding. So there's more blooms to come. So we're back down again from Jane Bald. This trail is up and down, up and down. More of the ragwort here. We have a nice patch of that cliff saxifrage in bloom here. And here we've got another lily right next to the trail. And another one. This one's enjoying a view here. These are growing among the alders up here. And yeah, there's a nice view in this area of the trail. So here we are at the fork in the trail. The Appalachian Trail continues on the left. We'll take the one to the right here to head up to Grassy Ridge Bald. Here the trail is taking us through a rhododendron tunnel. It's nice and cool and shady in here. And of course in June, these rhododendrons are blooming. These are all Catawba rhododendron. We still see the occasional petals on the ground here, but most of these are gone by now. We have a couple of mountain ash trees in bloom here. Lots of birds up here too. I believe that is the mountain St. John's wort that we also saw on Mount Mitchell. Budding, not blooming yet. False hellebore growing along the trail here. That's the plant with the big leaves. This one is starting to bloom. Lots of mountain angelica coming up here too. This one is starting to bud. This spot is a little bit more sheltered. We've got the first flowers here of the St. John's wort. Here we've got some cliff saxifrage again. And another one of those little white flowers. It's one of those plants that's a relic from the last ice age. You find them way up further north in Canada and up here on the Roan Highlands. Quite possibly the last of the rhododendron blooms up here. This plaque up here always has me laugh a little. There's a typo on it. Do you see it? Might give you a clue here. It's in the last row. So yeah, somebody didn't proofread carefully enough, and now it's been cast in bronze. It's been 2 hours on the trail, up and down. So I think I've earned my lunch break now. And then I'm going to turn around and head back to the car. Now I'm pretty sure the St. John's wort wasn't blooming yet when I walked out this morning. They have just opened up the flowers today. So we're back on Jane Bald, headed back over to Round Bald now. So it's shortly after noon and the parking lot is flowing over by now. A lot of those cars are parked along the road.